I now call this meeting of the Amateur Detective Club to an order. My name is Tristan Miller, this saucy sleuth.
I'm Melissa Meli, the one-eyed pirate.
I'm Tyler Riley, cop and a half.
Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free 30-day trial membership. Let's take this again. Good evening. Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/vanityurl, which is ADC Pod, and browse the unmatched selections of audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/ADC Pod and get started today.
I actually signed up for the Audible trial.
Hey, me too.
Really?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
I can't believe... Oh, wait. I didn't do it through us.
I'm going to kill
Wow.
you. No brand loyalty.
I didn't do it through anybody, to be fair. It was just like, do you want to purchase this 24-hour book for $24, or do you want to do it for free with a month membership? And I was like, free, please.
Yeah.
I'm doing it the right way.
You are doing it the right way.
audibletrial.com/ADCpod.
You too can listen to Wilkie Collins' Woman in White, which we will be covering very soon.
So soon.
So, Melissa, why are you a one-eyed pirate today?
So I either have sweat or sunblock or both or allergens in my eye, and it is making my eye very squinty. I'm squinting a lot. So, yes, yar indeed.
Yar.
Arr.
Squinty was the name of a pirate in a book.
That makes
right?
sense.
Yes. Ugh, what? Today we're talking about Poirot, Agatha Christie's Poirot, Season 5, Episode 3, The Yellow Iris.
Yeah, we sure are. When we read the summary of this episode last week, I completely missed it. Like, I completely checked out when we did that. I was not paying attention at all.
Oh my god.
Listen, Melissa, I was reading it. I didn't remember it either.
No, or I just totally blacked out. Like, I probably listened to it and heard it at the time and then just went,
Not relevant. It's fine.
I think I remembered, or I just remembered the story on which it's based.
Yeah, I didn't remember the story.
Nor did I.
Then I must have remembered the synopsis, because everything I've covered, like everything I've read of Poirot, I've read with the two of you. So if y'all don't know it, then I just remembered last week.
Yeah,
probably.
I do believe it is based off of a short story that was published in the Strand magazine.
Yeah.
So there you go. And then later in the Hartford Courant in the States. Okay. So we open on the two palest people on the face of the planet in a graveyard.
Yeah.
WWE Sheamus is like, oh boy, I need glasses for these two.
Sheamus is basically transparent.
So transparent that Mattel, when making his action figure, had to create a new white.
Yeah, this man is very white.
Oh, I love it. And like, I can't get mad because Tyler and I were talking on the way home. We met up last week or 2 weeks ago when you're listening to this. Possibly, we met up at some point.
Yes. In
a park to exchange things and words. But on the way home, I did tell Tyler, like, I was like, we keep talking about Star Trek, you and I, Melissa. Mm-hmm. But then I'm like, you know what? Melissa and Tyler have talked about WWE so much that I think I'm owed this small token.
Yep. That's why we're doing it. Mm-hmm. And now you guys just have to figure out something completely over my head to talk about.
Ooh.
Black Dynamite.
Black Dynamite. I was going to say something really mean. I was going to say getting paid the same amount.
Oh my God.
having full rights under the law.
Wow. Well, we can't talk about that.
Anyway.
No.
You're taking a step too far.
Yeah. So they're in this graveyard, and one of them is like, well, we'll do it for our iris, and then they place yellow irises on a grave.
Well, they start by saying 2 years to the day, a phrase we will hear repeatedly throughout the episode.
Oh my goodness. Yep.
Yeah. And then they leave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Poirot eating breakfast with 6 small slices of toast with jam equally spread. And it is this man. I wish I had the patience to be him. I admire it so much, and it makes me so happy.
They are the smallest pieces of bread. And I thought we were just going to talk about how small his breakfast was, and, you know, no one else was going to acknowledge it. But then immediately Hastings comes in and is like, Poirot, what are you eating? That's not breakfast. That is a bird snack. And which is true. I mean, my goodness. And then he's like, you got to have a full English breakfast. And Poirot says that English does not have a cuisine.
And I have never hated Poirot more.
Oh.
It turned me against him for the entire episode.
So Hastings says to Poirot, oh, look, there's this French restaurant opening at Jeremy Street or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And
Jardin de Sing or something.
Yeah,
the Garden of the
Schwans.
And
where they only serve Schwann's frozen dinner.
Hastings says something like, "Oh, I wonder if there'll be swans on the menu."
Yeah,
because of course.
Hastings will. No.
Would you eat a swan?
Whereas,
if it's anything like goose, probably.
Sorry, you were saying something, Melissa.
Whereas Hastings will eat anything. I'm ridiculous about what I will and won't eat sometimes because I'm like, I assign random values to different animals.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty standard.
Yeah, and I am not sorry about it, really, except to my own self and my own conscience.
Yeah, I don't eat a lot of meat. I mostly eat fish these days, but I'd have swan.
You know
Why
what?
not? You only live once.
Well,
it's already cooked. If I don't have to pick out the swan.
Yeah.
Because that always messes with me when you're at Red Lobster and which one do you want? And it's like, don't do
make
this
me
to
pick.
me.
Although, see, okay, lobsters are disgusting looking. They just don't look, they're not cute, so I'd feel less bad. But for some reason, I will not eat a fish that's the full fish. You don't put a whole fish in front of me on the table. Take those heads off.
Beheaded?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I do not want it to look like the thing. That's my rule. I don't want it to look like the thing that it was.
So, then Miss Lemon shows up,
yes, and
right?
she is carrying a yellow iris. And the
titular role.
Yes, it turns out the episode is completely about this one flower that Miss Lemon is holding. So
if only.
Yeah. So she comes in, she says, "Oh, Mr. Poirot, you seem to have an admirer."
It's so sweet.
It's really sweet. And he's like, oh no.
Yeah, he's sweating, his hands are shaking, getting
getting very upset about both the restaurant and the iris, and then he sits them down for a flashback.
Yeah, and there's this beautiful moment where they're framed, Poirot is framed between them, and they both look at each other, then look at Poirot, and they're like, Miss Lemon is quite kind. He's like, "Can I get you anything, Mr. Poirot?" And he's like, No, just sit down, I'll explain everything.
Yeah, so before he was going to go visit Hastings. In Argentina, he stopped over in Buenos Aires, and he was staying at this hotel, and he happened to hear a couple having a fight. Meets this gentleman who is a terrible actor, and this young gentleman's a writer, and the row he's just had with this girl he's very interested in is her saying, you know, you only want to get the interview, you don't really like me. And he's like, no, I do like you, I just also want the interview. And she doesn't like that. So
she's like, he can have neither.
Dollar Tree,
I'm out.
Saoirse Ronan storms out.
And so
You're not wrong.
And so then she storms out, and he is there, and he comes across Poirot, recognizes him, which Poirot, of course, loves, and he tells him, you know, this whole story, and that there's the sisters. So the beautiful, Fleming sisters? I don't know what's their name. Weatherby. There you go. The beautiful Weatherby sisters, and that one is Pauline.
Yes.
And the other one is named Iris, and she is married to this guy who owns a business or something.
Yes, Barton.
Yeah. He works with, like, money and boring things, and so...
He owns an oil company.
Oil, yeah, something like that.
Sovereign Oil.
Yes, that is exactly what it is. Not something like that.
So then the power, then we, no, Tristan, let me finish. It's fine. Okay. So
was that was that a conversation you just had with yourself?
Yes. So we cut to Barton speaking with some sort of Argentinian general about some dealing, and he passes him some government bonds worth 500 pounds apiece, and there's several stacked there.
Yeah, this is at a time of conflict.
Yes, there is a current coup going on in...
And I mean, what's new, Buenos Aires?
Yeah, I was gonna say. Oh, Buenos Aires, if you will.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I like that very much.
Gotta I risk it for the biscuit? I don't know. Anyway, so then we're at the hotel, and the power goes out.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, which is apparently a frequent problem.
So it seems the hotel clerk, in a very specific accent, says that to Poirot, and he gives him a lantern, and then he bumps into Chapman.
Yeah, sounds right.
Who is an old... I've cocked it up. This doesn't happen yet.
No,
it does, but we missed something. Poirot goes to the bar with the writer, and the writer kind of explains why he wants an interview. Or did you touch on that?
Yeah, he was just...
I thought you touched on that.
Yeah.
Okay, because he's trying to get the scoop. Okay, anyway, so Barton, he bumps into Barton, and Barton is like, you should get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, like... this.
Just get out.
He's like, okay, I'm trying. Just stopping over. Yeah. And then...
No, it wasn't Barton that said that.
No, Chapman.
The two guys look the same.
I disagree.
Okay.
But they are both old and white. One looks like bald Benedict Cumberbatch, and the other one looks like has a head of hair Ralph Fiennes.
Oh, interesting.
That's what I think. Both of which who have been shrunk in the wash.
I see.
Like Ralph Fiennes from Maid in Manhattan?
Yes, I don't know, Tyler.
Look, I'm just trying to get clarity.
From Grand Budapest Hotel and An Education and Schindler's List and Voldemort.
So the one from Maid in Manhattan. Thank you. Asked and answered.
Okay, I don't know. I haven't seen that movie, Tyler.
Well, whose fault is that?
You send me a DVD copy.
I will.
It's got to be streaming somewhere, right? Like, isn't everything should be streaming somewhere?
Oh, I bumped my elbow.
Oh, that hurts. Ow.
Yeah.
And also, it was Carter.
Carter. Do we just need to start the episode over again?
No, not the episode. Just
From
this bit.
Okay.
Tyler, why don't you explain what happens in the next scene?
So they're at the hotel. The power goes out, and it's Pauline, Carter, and Poirot in the foyer of this hotel when the power goes out. It seems to be a frequent issue.
Foyer, I hardly know yay. So dumb. Please continue.
Poirot comes up behind them, everyone's just trying to get their room keys. Carter is like, you know what's going on in Argentina right now, right? You need to get it moving. Why are you here? There shouldn't be tourists here. We're here on business. And Poirot's like, I'm just stopping over and kindly mind your business. They take off to go find their rooms. Poirot goes a bit ahead. He overhears Pauline and Carter having a very intense conversation. So Poirot goes behind a corner, blows out his lamp to eavesdrop on their conversation as Pauline and Carter make their way up the stairs.
I thought that was Iris and Carter.
Is it Iris?
It is Iris, yes.
Well, they're sisters.
Yeah, they look like the same girl.
Yeah, they look very similar. And for a while, if I'm being honest with you, I thought it was going to be one of those situations where, they're so...
twin magic?
Yeah, where they're, there's only one of them, really.
Oh.
I don't know why.
That's fun.
Okay, I was thinking more of a sister-sister situation.
Oh, yeah. But indeed, they are two different girls.
Replace everything I said with Iris instead of Pauline.
Yes.
And that's where we are.
Right.
Iris says to Carter... Oh, it went completely out of my head. Something about him, having no business in this affair. Or, to keep his nose out of... He should have gotten involved in this affair. Something to that effect.
Yeah. He's doing a bad business deal, and she's very distressed about it. All right.
Or they could be having an affair because he does say, well, no one knows about it, Iris. And she goes, well, I know.
Could be. So
yeah,
the next night, I think, they all go out for dinner at a place called Jardin des Cygnes.
Which, upsets me that the fact that it's now a chain restaurant.
I don't think that's what the case is, but I think what the case was is Luigi, who we meet later and whom I love, got the heck out of Buenos Aires is the vibe I got from him.
And then just opened the same restaurant over in England.
Maybe it's a franchise. Yeah.
I mean, good for Luigi. The Italian opening the French restaurant for some reason.
Yeah, Hastings even says that later on. He goes, an Italian opening a French restaurant in Buenos Aires. It's very...
Yeah. I mean...
It's very Hastings.
It is odd. But why not? I mean, maybe he went to, the Cordon Bleu, and that's just his thing. He's a master of French cuisine. So, they have a dinner. There are 6 people at the table. It is Pauline, Iris's husband, Barton, Carter, this dancer lady, Lola.
Yeah.
Lola Vasquez.
Yes. And actually, I think, is that both her character's last name and the actress's last name? That'd be fun.
No, I think the actress is Yolanda Valdez, if I'm not mistaken.
It says Vasquez.
Yeah.
Yolanda Vasquez.
Yeah, I think she had...
Yeah.
She spells it 2 different ways the actress. But at any rate, Lola, the dancer, and then this Chapel, the writer guy, who scored an invitation from Lola because he wanted to make good with Pauline. I got the 6, right? That's 6 people.
Yes.
Great. So then...
That's 6. Yes, correct.
Yeah. They had a special request to set the table with yellow irises, which he later tells Poirot when he comes in to sit at a nearby table, because they have red roses on every table except for that one where this party of 6 is sitting. And they watch a singer sing a song. It's very nice. And then after the song is over, you see them all lift glasses of champagne. And then Barton makes a toast, and he says, "To my wife Iris," and everyone says, "To Iris," and then she drinks it and stands up, seizes up, puts her head back, and then drops dead on the table. It
was like almost... Have you ever seen the film version of Damn Yankees?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's very specific choreography in the number 2 Lost Souls.
Yeah, okay.
And that is how she dies. Like, it's very like jazz hand up, head tilts back, and down.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. So, here we are. She's dead on the table for just an absurdly long time for this poor actress. So Poirot comes over, makes sure she's dead. No, he checks, sees confirms. There we go. That's what I'm looking for.
Confirmed.
And yes, indeed, she has expired. And he then looks in her little tiny purse and takes out a phial of cyanide. Right? Potassium cyanide. Yep. It looks like little salt tablets. Or granules, I should say. So, all right, cool. Everyone's like, oh, well, it was in her own little purse. She must have done it to herself. Which would be such a wild thing to do.
I mean, if I ever commit suicide, I would... try to make it look like a murder just so I get the most attention possible.
I mean, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah, like, I'm not mad at it for that reason.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't. But, yeah. No, everyone kind of is like, oh, yeah, must be a suicide. And Poirot's like, I really don't think so. Whereupon he is pretty promptly arrested by the Argentinian government. And, oh my goodness, poor Poirot. He's so disheveled and distressed.
There's such a funny moment where the terrible actor who plays the I really hope he doesn't listen to this, the fellow that plays the reporter goes, "I'll call the French embassy," and he goes, no, the Belgian embassy. It's so fun.
I did laugh out loud at that. It was pretty great.
And I think his name is Chapel.
Yes. Anthony
Which is
Chapel.
why I think we got a little bit confused before.
Yes, Chapman.
Yeah.
Same root word.
Anthony Chapel, played by Dorian Healy. So,
who may well be very good in other roles.
This is not a strong performance, though, unfortunately.
Yes.
So yes, that does happen as he has been being taken away, and then he appears possibly the next morning. And he looks very out of sorts and disheveled and very unhappy. Poor Poirot. And they say, okie doke, well, we are sending you right back to England. We're putting you on a boat. And he objects, but they say, no, this is the way it's going to be.
Yep.
You do not get a choice in this. And frankly, it's one of those like, okay, at least you're just sending me home kind of like, all right. Yeah. So he remarks, though, that he was sent back because he's, of course, recounting this whole story to Hastings and Miss Lemon. He says, I was sent back in a third-class cabin.
Yeah. And they audibly gasp.
Yeah. The horror.
I mean, I understand that, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where they have left it, basically, and that's all. They ruled it a suicide, and now here we are, 2 years later to the day. Almost. Almost, but not quite.
And if you ever, like, get a doubt as to whether or not you can remember the name of the episode, you will find a yellow iris in almost every single scene.
It's really true. And they are very pretty, to be fair.
They are. I do enjoy yellow irises.
I do love an iris.
We had plenty of yellow irises growing up, like in our garden.
Oh.
I'm a fan of lilies and orchids.
Orchids are gorgeous. I can't.
You would say lilies are your favorite, though?
I would have to look at them to remember what exactly they look like. I like water lilies.
I can't really do lilies because they make me sneeze very much.
Oh, same.
Yeah, I'd have to do a calla lily. They're okay. However, I've always loved roses. I've always loved sunflowers. But also, I have recently become very enamored with peonies because they are so big and fluffy. I love them.
Mm-hmm. I for a very long time wanted to work in a flower shop, but the whole allergy thing absolutely prevented me. But I would.
That was the reason?
Yeah, that was the reason. Like
nobody needed to fix your accent and turn you into a proper lady?
Not yet.
I want to be a lady in a flower shop.
My Bear Tristan, starring Tristan Miller.
I've seen that film so many times. But I always had this image of like me or someone like having severe allergies, like just like, okay, so that's the like, and it's just like so sad. It's like a Pixar film.
Yeah,
yeah,
it is. You're right.
It really is.
So Poirot begins his little investigation, and he goes and he interviews some of the folks that are going to the dinner because he finds out through meeting with Luigi that not Chapman, Barton, Tim Burton has set up a dinner for 6, and he's like, but why the 6? So strange. And he goes around to the rest of the people, and they're all like, no one wants to go to this dinner.
Yeah, because the dancer, Lola, is in England now, and she's doing her dancing thing. She's doing the tango in London. Everyone's there. The restaurant's now there. Everything's just gotten moved overseas, and we're recreating this. And Barton, for some reason, wants to commemorate the death of his wife in the exact same circumstances in which she died. You know, like you do.
Listen, trauma is a weird thing.
No, for sure. But it's weird. Like, it's weird.
Yes, it's a very...
Well, I'm all for, things that are much in the vein of Angela Lansbury's film debut, #gaslight. Gaslighting someone. So, I like the mind games that he is seemingly playing with these people.
That is true. He says during the dinner that he has called them all here tonight because clearly one of them murdered his wife.
Yeah, because he doesn't believe it was suicide either. And he does almost say, you're probably wondering why I've called you all here tonight. Like, it's...
Yeah. And he is, to his credit, the only one that really fights against the suicide ruling when they're in Argentina as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is correct.
We find out that the guy who had Poirot arrested and deported is like in big trouble in Argentina now, and then we witness just about his execution.
Yeah.
Right. We do cut to a firing squad in this episode.
Yeah. Oh, I think it was Hastings who was telling Poirot about this at one point, and he said they're going to give him the chop or something like that, and I was like, God, that conjures an image. The chop. He's for the chop or something like that, and then and then it was a firing squad. So like we weren't toting out a guillotine or something.
But like, which is worse?
I'd say the guillotine.
I mean, I think emotionally, the guillotine.
Yeah.
Practically, I would say the guillotine is easier because your head is only alive for like 0.2 seconds, maybe up to 5 seconds after it's removed. Whereas like sometimes with a firing squad, they have to just keep going, and it's terrible.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I would say that the firing squad is. I would much rather see a guillotine. It's just one, and it's over.
That's true. It is.
And the firing squad, like, it could go on for however long you're alive.
Yeah.
Yikes. Well, yeah. I mean, it's very dramatic. I mean, it's better than hanging. Both are better than hanging, I'd say, probably.
It depends on whether or not your neck snaps, and we're getting very gruesome here. Lethal injection is the only quote-unquote humane way to kill someone, but it's still not.
It's not. No. Yeah.
Anyway. So
sunshine and rainbows, and...
So do you want to just skip to the dinner? Because that's, like, he basically talks to everyone. They don't want to go to this dinner.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much... the next major point, I believe.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he does have a chat with all of them and gathers some information. So he comes to the dinner, and I think he's worked it out by then, what happened.
Yeah, 100%.
And so it's, like, set up exactly the same way. It's real creepy. And Poirot interjects himself? Yeah, sure.
Inserts?
Yes.
Inserts, thank you. And inserts himself into this dinner and says, listen, I was there too. Like, why didn't I get an invite? And Barton says, you know what? You're right. And then he takes the seat that they have left open for, I don't know, the memory of Iris.
For Elijah.
Yeah, it was for Iris, because Pauline says that to Poirot.
Yeah.
For Iris. It's little known fact, it was actually a Seder they were doing.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Seder?
Okay. So basically the woman is singing, they're all watching the woman sing.
It's the same song.
It's the same song.
It is a different woman, however.
So here's my thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't, by this point in the episode, remember what Iris looked like. And this woman came on stage, and I was like, is it going to be Iris this whole time?
Oh.
I was convinced that this story was going to be more interesting.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty interesting. I liked it. We'll get into the rating, but I was convinced that it was going to be, like, even more complicated, and it just wasn't. I was just like convinced that there was some sort of doubling with the two sisters or something straight, and it does not appear.
Okay. Yeah. So
maybe I've been watching too much David Lynch or something.
Yeah. So they sit around the table, they watch her sing, and then they all lift glasses of champagne. And
they receive refills of the champagne, during the song.
So,
which is exactly what happened before.
Right. So then they all raise glasses and drink, and Poirot has assured Pauline that she is safe because she's been very nervous up until this point.
She says the words, "I'm afraid," at least 7 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and just before this, Barton, like, excuses himself, but he, like, is back just in time for, like, the cheers, essentially. Like, he comes back, his champagne glass is full, he sits down and joins them.
Yeah.
Which is also what happened because he has to go speak to the band both times. He's recreating it precisely.
Yeah.
Right.
And both times he has excused himself and goes and speaks to the band.
Yeah. So they cheers, they lift their glasses, people start taking sips of their drinks, and then Iris sips her drink.
Pauline.
Right. Pauline, they look so similar.
That's what I'm saying.
No, yeah.
Well, they're sisters. Great casting.
No, it's true. And by the way, Pauline is always wearing really great outfits. Just
oh yeah, I suppose.
Shout out, yeah. Really nice green dress in this scene, and she, just exactly as Iris did before her, seizes up, throws her head back, Fosse style, and then collapses dead on the table.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yes, it is Fosse.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, Poirot says he feels so guilty because he was sure, and then he goes into this whole thing about how all this motive that Chapman had to have her killed because he knew that she was in shady business dealings, but then it couldn't have been Chapman for some reason, right?
I think he just keeps I don't think he directly says that, but he just moves on to the next motive.
Can we take an ad break before we get?
I guess we can.
I guess.
It's the ad break. Ad break, yeah. It's the ad break. So, hey everybody, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Amateur Detective Club. If this is your first episode, welcome. If this is your last episode, I'm sorry. We're on the Scavenge Network. You can go to scavengenetwork.com, check out all of the great content they have there. Bunch of podcasts, bunch of video content, they also have a Twitch stream. Check them out there. Colin is doing a great job assembling a very diverse set of podcasts. You can also, while you're listening to this ad break, go down, you can scroll down and go into the show notes, and you can click on our merch where it says buy our merch, and you can go do that. Check it out. We got a bunch of new stuff on the Teespring that I made.
Yeah, and we are on social media at ADC Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and you can also request to be in our Facebook group. Please be sure to answer the questions. You don't have to get the answers exactly right. Just answer them so we know you're not a robot, because we know how scary robots can be. They'll just take right over.
I, for one, and this has been my stance for many years, welcome our robot overlords.
They might do a better job than us currently.
Who's to say?
But then, yes, as you are checking out those pages, you can see the mugs that Tristan mentioned, because there is a picture of our little socially responsible gathering with our Order and Method mugs. So you can order those. Yeah. Are you laughing at how I put together sentences badly?
No. It's just socially responsible, which you're correct. That's a correct way to say it. It just also means we didn't get into fights. We didn't graffiti something. We were very socially responsible people.
Well, this time at least.
Yeah.
But we'll always wearing masks.
We did not graffiti. That was not us.
All those ADC pod tags you see everywhere. We didn't do it.
We didn't spray paint #bring the ladies back on any government property.
We should.
Certainly not the Botswana consulate or embassy in the United States.
Oh my goodness.
Could you imagine going to the consulate and listen, I have a problem with we should start a letter campaign.
Yeah. I'm sure Botswana would be yeah, we can film more episodes. Just HBO needs to get on board.
They'd be like, we literally kept this up for years.
Yeah. We still have it.
Please.
We're hoping every day.
Yes. And rate, review, subscribe. And if you're going to rate, 5 stars is customary.
Hey there, detective.
Oh.
I'm taking off my headphones.
He put them back on.
For just $1 a month, you can receive access to all the bonus episodes and content of the Amateur Detective Club. For $3 a month, you can receive early access to all the shows, plus the previously mentioned perks. And at $10 a month, at this level, you can place an ad that I'll read for you out loud over the air, over and over.
Oh.
Plus all the perks previously mentioned. Just go to patreon.com/ADCpod and get the bonus episodes and content of your dreams.
She came into my office, and she was all legs, and I was horrified, because she was just legs, and I was like, where's the rest of her body? I don't know. But as is required by law, legally, every episode I must declare butt soup.
Did you check with him and he said that that's what he wants you to do for eternity?
I'm sorry, Tristan. Did you say butt soup?
That's right, Toots. I sure did. Butt Soup McCarthy's my name. And this is Jimmy Long's
You're
Legs.
such a saucy sleuth.
This is Jimmy Long's Leg McCartney. Different, no relation. Anyway, back to the show. So they're in, not a parlor, but
they're like in the attic of this restaurant.
Yeah, like in the back house.
No sense.
Yes. And they are going through and talking about how much how much motive Carter had, but he didn't have the opportunity. So then we turn it on, but what if everyone was paying attention? So basically, how did it happen?
Yes.
And Poirot...
Not why.
Yeah, not why, but how? Because Poirot goes back to the scene from 2 years prior at the restaurant. They're all...
To this day.
To the day.
To the day.
The lady is singing and they're all watching her transfixed. And so there is a person going around pouring champagne. So because no one was paying attention, it would have been very easy for someone to just take the vial and slip a couple of tablets of the cyanide into the drink and then plant the little vial in her purse. And which is exactly what then happened tonight when that happened and they planted the vial in Carter's pocket.
That vial.
Yep, they just reach around and like slip it right in.
Let's be...
I mean, that is what happened.
Saucy sleuth.
Not anything naughty again. I can't stand it.
Well, I mean, I call it like I see it. Yeah. So, but who had the opportunity? The person who was had excused himself to be with the band.
Yes.
To go talk to the band, who was, of course, the husband, Barton.
Yeah. Because that way he would be set to inherit a large sum of money from Iris. Originally, that's what he thought, but then it turns out that in Iris's will, all the money went to Pauline, but he was in charge of the money until she was 21, but he blew it. He went through that money, and so he thought he had to get rid of Pauline as well.
Yes. So they said basically, you know, how do you know? How could this possibly have been? And there was a woman who had been serving them cups of tea or coffee, espresso maybe, this entire time. Mm-hmm. And she had just been, you know, unnoticed. Not really unnoticed because, you know, the people take their cup from her, but they haven't really been looking at her. And then Poirot says, reveal yourself, basically. And she takes off this very big hat she's wearing.
A bonnet. Yeah.
Yeah, face covering thing. And it is Pauline, who is not dead yet. And not for a long time, probably. So, you know, displaying that fact that it would be very easy for someone to poison the champagne unnoticed. So, Poirot, of course, had seen this coming. He saw it coming. He only had himself to blame. So he made sure that he did not have to blame himself because he told Pauline to only pretend to drink so that she would not, you know, die. And then she faked her death so that Poirot could do this whole big dramatic reveal. And then after this, they didn't really get anything to eat. So they're both very hungry and nothing's open.
Hastings and Poirot.
Yeah. Hastings and Poirot were very hungry. And the only thing that's open is like this food truck, I guess.
Yeah, this fish and chip van.
Yeah. By a very picturesque bridge, basically, I think. It's a very nice scene. And it's fantastic because they order fish and chips and Poirot tries the chips and loves them.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely starts devouring them. Super fun. And he's trying.
Yeah, you gosh darn right.
Yeah.
I will give them that. Fish and chips are some of my favorite foods.
Fish and chips are fantastic, and I wish I had them right now. Oh, yeah. Oh, they have good fish and chips in Disney World. Anyway, it's
really.
That's the end of the episode. Yes.
That is the end of the episode.
Yeah.
What did y'all think of this one?
I would give it a 3.5. I think it was above average for me. It gave me like the fun stuff that I also enjoyed from last episode. We got some really... I like the framing of the flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
We did not get great performances from everyone. But there was enough that I was like, all right, this is still fun and it's still interesting. And it was also interesting to watch the bad performances as well, because it was fun, but in a different way. And the mystery itself, I didn't exactly see it playing out the way it did, and I did not expect the murderer to be who it was, because it just seemed so obvious from the top, because he doth protest way too much.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh, it certainly couldn't be him, but it surprised me. So 3.5.
Yeah, I also enjoyed it. I'm going to give it a 4. I thought that it was pretty well constructed. The story was good. The framing was good. They did a fairly good job with the script and all of that stuff. Yeah, there were some substandard performances, but again, as Tyler said, that can be fun to talk about and watch as well. And main cast, great as always. Yeah, fun time. Lots of good clues along the way. Like, felt like I was solving it, and I felt like I could follow it pretty easily. Like, it wasn't confounded with a lot of unnecessary or confusing detail.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, can I jump back in just for one thing? I also took points off for the subtlety of the direction of this episode. Like, the amount of yellow irises. It was just like, we get it.
Sure.
I think
very pretty to look at, but like, good God. so much.
It was a lot, but I kind of enjoyed it for some reason.
Fair.
I give this one a 4.5. A near perfect episode for me. The kind of to counterbalance what you said, Tyler, the camera work in this episode is phenomenal. I was watching it with my girlfriend and she's like, oh, they have a budget this time for, it's like there's an actual director moving the camera around. There's this beautiful shot of some yellow irises in the middle of the table for the second dinner, and it comes and it pans up. Sorry, it cranes up and it settles down onto the people sitting at the table. It's absolutely stunning. So there was a lot of technical elements that I very much enjoyed. I loved the flashback sequence was probably my favorite part of the episode because it kind of felt almost like a Casablanca sort of like, or like there's this film called The Algiers that it just kind of felt similar to that, where you're like going to, I guess, an exotic locale and like there's some sort of mystery. I don't know. I really like the that kind of construction. And when you are aware of the time period in which this show is set, it always makes me very happy. A lot of the performances were very corny, and we've discussed this before. I really enjoy that. I enjoy a corny performance. I think it's fun. Like Pauline is just like, sounds like a petulant child the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
Because at one point, I literally laughed out loud because her line delivery about the dinner is like, I don't want to go. And I was just like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who are you, Wendy from Disney's Peter Pan?
She and Chapel, I'm sorry to interrupt, but she and Chapel also are engaged by the 2 years later, and all again fighting. Like,
yeah. And maybe it's a young person thing. Maybe this is a period of time in English TV production where 20-somethings weren't going to the same schools or something like that than the other ones. But you're also like, and I really feel for some of the actors because I'm sure that the shooting schedule was stressful. And then also like you're going up against a lot of the time these British actors that are like, that have been like in the Royal Shakespeare Company and like that level of that caliber of actor. We forgot to mention a scene, which is where Hastings goes to some other place to investigate while Poirot goes to the dinner, and he speaks with this old man about Pauline's will.
Mr. Grove.
Yes, and just a beautiful performance from this man. Like, I was really, really happy to see that happen. This episode was also very funny, and it's like a near emblematic, like it's a perfect emblematic episode of what the series should be, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah. It's a very Poirot episode.
Yes. The reason it didn't get a 5 is I wish that when they were passing out coffee, that Pauline had poisoned someone also, and then there's another twist at the end, if that makes sense. Like, it was really straightforward, and so that's why it's emblematic, and it's a good episode. It's very standard. But once again, with the whole, like, I wish they had done something with the sisters switching places or something like that. But, like, that's no fault of the TV show. That it's based off of a short story. So, like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But overall, very good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I've been looking at the credits of David Troughton, who played Barton, and he has been in a lot of detective shows, actually. He's been in Father Brown. He's been in Midsummer Murders. He's also done a ton of Shakespeare. He was in the Hollow Crown series and has been in like a bunch of Royal Shakespeare Company movies. He's played Falstaff and Titus Andronicus and Gloucester. Like, this guy is legit.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier. Like, you get a situation where you're a younger actor put against like David Suchet, and you're like, kind of like how everyone made fun of Orlando Bloom in the Lord of the Rings series, where it's like that was like number one, is basically his first movie, but also he's like next to Ian McKellen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Oh, he was fine too. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, I there's a lot of things going on, but like you when you're set in amongst these people, I think there's a tendency for subpar performances to really stick out.
Yeah, no, for sure. That makes sense.
There was someone. Oh, so the person that plays Pauline.
Yeah.
She's Lily Potter in the Harry Potter films.
Yes, she is. That's where
that's fun.
Because the face was very familiar to me. And she's also been in Gosford Park, I saw in her bio. I recognized the name Geraldine Somerville. But yeah.
Okay, so the guy that plays Luigi, now that we're in this part
let's
of the show, he was in Doctor Who, number one, fantastic. Number two, he was in a TV series called Ashes to Ashes, where he played another character named Luigi. He's also the mob boss in Spider-Man Far From Home. So, like, he's still around.
Yeah.
Great. Next week, we will be reviewing Wilkie Collins' Woman in White with special guest Janet Varney, who you may know from Legend of Korra, which is now available on Netflix. She plays the titular legend on Legend of Korra. She's a very fine person, and she is very funny, and you should check out her podcast, The JV Club, available at Maximum Fun, available at MaximumFun.org.
Yeah, it's a great podcast.
All right.
Do we want to summarize the book real quick?
Ooh, yeah. Let me look up the Wikipedia. Okay. So here's the thing. It is a very long book. I cannot summate this very long Wikipedia thing. Basically, where I'm at in the book, there's a woman who has wandered from an asylum, and there's some family drama involving that, and that's like the starting out point. A painting and drawing instructor goes to a home in Limerick to instruct a family on how to paint and draw, and then a mystery occurs.
Okay.
Basically is what I can say without getting into the plot and spoiling things.
Great. All right. It's going to be a fun adventure. We're really excited to have Janet on the podcast.
Yeah, it should be fun. It's also, if you listen to the audiobook, it is narrated by Ian Holm, who is a phenomenal actor who unfortunately recently passed away. But on that note, I now call this meeting of the Amateur Detective Club to a close.
Gavel sound.
Yellow eye.